Hello and welcome to my Stamperia Fortune mini album tutorial series designed for scrap and create. All of the products that I will be using to create this mini album and box will be linked in the description box below, so check those out, purchase your supplies, and follow along. In today's video, we are going to be working on the finishing touches for the album. So starting with the photo mats for the pockets between the pages and then working on the photo mats for all of the pages as well. For the photo mats that are going to go sliding down into the pockets, I've created these little inserts. I'm going to show you this, then I'm going to show you how it's created. So this is going to be a tuck spot. We're going to place a card here to hold this flap closed. So it's going to have a flap here, and a flap here, and then this larger base piece, and then the back is plain. So to create these little booklets, you're going to need to cut 4 pieces that measure 5.5 by 8 inches. Then you'll need to cut 8 pieces that measure 4¼ by 6 inches. On the 4¼ inch side, you're going to score these pieces at 1/2 inch, and then you're going to miter the ends on the 1/2 inch tab sections. Now there's going to be 1 on the left and 1 on the right, so when you score these, obviously if you don't have any measurements on them, it doesn't matter if you actually have measurements on them or not if they're turned upside down, but 1 will be on the left, 1 will be on the right. So we need 8 of those pieces scored at 1/2 inch. And then we need 4 pieces that measure 1¾ by 6 inches. On the 1¾ inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch down the right-hand side, and then miter the ends on these 1/2 inch tabs. Now I'm going to go ahead and score the rest of these and fold off my pieces and get them ready. Then I'll come back and I'll show you how to assemble these little booklets. The first thing I'm going to do is mark the sides of my page so that I have my center, so 3 inches from center on both sides because my flaps are 6 inches. So I'm going to hurry and do that very quickly on my piece. Now I've already made my other 3. I'm just going to show you this one on camera, and they're all made the same exact way. So we'll take one of our pieces for the sides, one of the larger flaps, apply the adhesive, and then adhere that down to the edge so that the score line is lined up with the edge of the page. And then I'll burnish this down. Then I'll take my second flap and apply my adhesive to my 1/2 inch tab section on this piece. And I'm going to adhere this across from the first flap, making sure that it's lined up the score line with the edge of the page, and then the top and the bottom edges of this piece are lined up with the top and bottom edges of the first flap that we put on the page. Then I'll take one of my smaller pieces and I'll apply my adhesive here to the 1/2 inch tab, and this is going to be my tuck spot. I'm going to place it over here on the right, lining up that score line with the edge of my page, making sure the top and bottom edges line up, and then burnishing this down. So there is my insert for my page, and like I said, I have all of mine built and ready to go. So we're going to jump in and I'm going to show you how to decorate these. But mind you, you can decorate yours any way you choose. So if you want this to be full pieces, if you want to piece it together for photos, however you decide to do this. So stay tuned and I will show you how I'm going to decorate mine. Now for my inserts, I've gone with 2 sets that are 2 similar designs. The only paper that I did not cut into was this 12 by 12 paper. I am saving this to decorate the storage box that I'm going to keep my album in. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to go through and show you the first set of papers. Then we'll go through and I'll show you the second set of papers. I'll give you the measurements and where all of these pieces go. From my 12 by 12 paper, I've cut 2 pieces that measure 5 1/4 by 7 3/4. These pieces are going to go here on the back sides of both of my booklets in this set. Then from the leftover strip, I've cut a 1 inch by 5 3/4 and a 1 inch by 5 3/4 strip. These are going to go here on the fronts of these smaller flaps. From my 8 by 8 paper, I'm using this back side or this brown side, and these measure 2 1/2 by 5 3/4. Now these are going to go here on the front of this. I'm going to apply adhesive down the top and bottom of this flap and close it to form a pocket. When I do this, I'm going to be very careful that it's a very narrow strip so that my card will fit in here. This piece will be here. And this piece will be in the same position on this booklet. Next, I have this paper here. It is from the 12 by 12 paper. It looks like this. Now on this piece, I'm going to use this side and place it here on the front of this flap. On this piece, I'm going to use this side and place it here on the front of this flap. From my 12 by 12 paper, I've cut these 2 cards. I'm going to place one in each of these pockets to hold those flaps closed. Then coming on to the inside, for this first one, from my 8 by 8 paper, I have this paper that I've cut 2 pieces to 3 1/2 by 5 3/4. One piece is going to go on each of these side flaps. And then from my 12 by 12 paper, I've cut both of these images 5 1/4 by 7 3/4. So one is going to go here and the other one is going to go here on the back of this one. And then for these 2 side flaps, I've taken this 8 by 8 paper and I've cut 2 pieces to 3 1/2 by 5 3/4, and I'll be placing one on each of these side flaps. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere all of these papers down first, and then I'll show you what these ones look like, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the second set. Here are my first 2 booklets completely assembled. So you can place photos wherever you want, whatever size you want. It gives you a lot of possibilities here based on the photos that you choose to put in each of your booklets. Now for my next set of 2 booklets, I'm going to be starting with this here. So this was the 12 by 12 paper. I just cut each side of it 5 1/4 by 7 3/4. I'll be placing one underneath on the back of each of, or on the inside of each of these. For the back side of one, I've cut this from the 12 by 12, again 5 1/4 by 7 3/4. For the other one, I've cut this piece from the 12 by 12 paper. I've cut it from the bottom 7 3/4 by 5 1/4. For the inside panel on one, I have this 8 by 8 paper, 3 1/2 by 5 3/4. So I will place this here and here. For the other one, I have taken this 8 by 8 paper, 3 1/2, 5 3/4. We'll place those on the inside flaps there. Then I have from, I believe this is from the 12 by 12 paper. I have cut 2 pieces that measure 3.5 by 5 3/4. One's going to go on the front left flap on each of these. Then I have this from the 12 by 12 paper. I've cut 2 pieces to 2.5 by 5 3/4, and it's going to go on the left side here. I'm going to apply my adhesive and close this down. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. It's going to go here. And then I have pieces of this from the 12 by 12 paper. I believe it was this way. And I've cut these to 1 inch by 5 3/4. I'll place one of these on each of these smaller front flaps. And then I have these 2 cards from my 12 by 12 that will go in here to hold those flaps closed. So I'm going to go ahead and place all of these papers on. I'll come back and show you what it looks like, and then we'll finish up these inserts and get them into the album. These are the second set of little folders. And the final thing that I'm going to do is add a eyelet to the top and a ribbon that will stick out of that notched part of the top of the page. So I've already done this and measured. So I've taken my centering ruler here, I've measured into the center, and I've gone 1/4 inch down. Now, if you do not have an eyelet tool, you don't have to do this. You can just pierce a hole if you want to, but I am going to be using an eyelet in mine. I have these black grommets that I'm going to be placing on here to match my black brads that are inside of my album. So I'm just going to go ahead and pierce my hole first. Make sure that this is set to the right setting. And I'm going to pierce my hole here. Then I will place my brad down through here and use my Crop-a-dile to set this. And once I have my hole set, I have a piece of my trim. It's 4 inches. I'm only going to be tying this into a knot, so you don't need to have a lot of the trim to do this. So I'm just going to take this here. I'm going to bring it over to the front side. So I don't want it to actually be knotted on the top. I want it to be knotted on that front side. And then I'm going to open these up. But I'm going to make my tails more decorative. Cut those off, and I'm going to do this on both sides. So that when my little knot is opened, I've got these, and this will sit right down in that notch on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all 4 of my little inserts. Once I have my bows on, I'm going to go ahead and place these inside of my pocket. And I'm going to slide this down until it goes all the way in and the bow is sticking out of that top side. So I'm just going to repeat this with all 4 of these. And then I'm going to start here at the front, and we're going to go through and add our inserts for all of our belly bands and our pockets. Now I'm going to go through and show you all of the photo mats, the sizes, and the decorative papers that I'm going to be putting in my album. They're not assembled. I'm just going to give you the measurements and show you where each of them goes so that you can go ahead and assemble yours, and then we will be finished with our album. For the belly band under the front cover, you're going to cut a piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. The pieces of paper for both sides are 4 inches by 6 inches, and I've used these papers here. I believe they're both from the 12 by 12. This one I'm going to place on the front side. This one I'm going to place on the back side. And once you have your photo mats decorated, you can add any type of decorative pieces to it with the leftover bits and pieces from the ephemera assortment or from the cut apart sheets if you choose to do so. That one's just going to go under here. Then on page 1, in the pocket here, I have a photo mat that measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. For the front side, I have this leftover 4 by 4 paper. This is from the 8 by 8 collection. You can choose which side you like for the photo mat. I think I might actually do this side. And then on the back side, I have this piece here. It was cut from the 12 by 12. And I'm going to use this side and then place this right here in this pocket. For the pocket on the base of the page, my photo mat measures 4 inches by 5 3/4 because I'm going to be using this cut apart card, but I'm going to turn it onto the back side. And I have cut this piece here that I'm going to put on the front side as a saying. Now you can leave this off and place a photo here, or you can use it as decorative. It's really up to you how you choose to use your photo mats. For the back side of the page, I have this piece here left over from the 12 by 12, and it measures 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Then I've cut 2 strips of paper from my 12 by 12. It's that blue, it looks like starfish, but it's stars. They are 3/4 of an inch each by 3 3/4. And I'm going to place one at the top and one at the bottom. Room for the photo would go here. So once those are on, that's the back side. This would be the front side. It's going to go right here into this pocket. For the back of the page, I just have this little one card cut from the... For the back of the page, I just have this one card cut from the 12 by 12, and I've cut a piece of my cardstock to 1 3/4 by 3 7/8. I'm going to place it here on the front and leave the back side blank as room for journaling. There is some light colored paper that you could put on there if you want to cover the back side. And then I'm just going to place it up underneath of here in that tuck spot. For the pocket on the page, I have my photo mat. It's 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. From this 8 by 8 paper, I have cut this to 4 inches by 7 1/4. I'm going to take one of these and place it on the front side. And then I will be placing this ephemera piece down here at the bottom for decoration. On the back side, I'm going to use the back of this paper, and then I have the strip that I cut off of the top, the 3/4 inch strip. I've cut this to 4 inches, and I'm just going to place this here at the top as a bit of decoration for the back side. And then this photo mat is going to go here on the pocket behind this element. For page 2, I have one photo mat back behind the belly band, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then from my 12 by 12 papers, these are both 4 by 6. So this one's going to go on the front, and this one is going to go on the back. For the back side of the page, in my little pocket here, We already had cut this because I was going to be placing it here, but I decided not to. It's 4.5 by 3.5. So for the front side, I have from my 8x8 paper, I've cut one strip of 4 cards and I've cut the sides off of the card to trim this down. And then I have 2 pieces of this paper here. I can't remember if it's the 8x8 or the 12x12 paper, but these are cut to 4.25 by 1/2 inch. I'm going to place these here first, and then this will go in the center on top of those for the front side. And then I have a piece of that paper that's 4.25 by 3.25, and it's going to go here on the back side. And this piece is going to go into this pocket. In my large pocket over here, I have a piece that measures 4 inches by 7 inches. So then I have this from the 12x12. It's just 4 across, so it is about 6 3/4 by 3 3/4. I'm going to place that on the front side. On the back side, I have this piece here. I believe it's from the 8x8 papers, 3 3/4 by 6 3/4 for the back side. And then I'm going to place this here on the side for some decoration. And that will go right into that pocket there. For page 3, the front photo mat for the page to keep it closed, 4.5 by 6.5. Now this is from the 12x12 paper. It's cut to 4.25 by 6.25 for the front. And then for the back, I've got the leftover piece of that paper I'm going to use. And I'm going to place this strip of the striped paper. It's about 5/8 of an inch by 4.25. And I'm going to place this here on the side. Then I have one card and I'm going to place this over top of here as a decoration and leave that open for the photo to slide behind it. Once this is done, this will go here to hold that page closed. There are no photo mats inside that page. On the back of the page, in this pocket over here, we have the photo mat that measures 4 inches by 5 7/8. That way I can use my final 12x12 cut apart card for the front. And then for the back side, 3 3/4 by 5 5/8. I have this 12x12 paper that I'm going to place here, and I may place a decoration on there once I finished. I haven't decided yet. This will then go right here into this pocket. No other photo mats on that page, so I'll go ahead and close that one. On page 4, in the little booklet here, I do have a circular cut apart card from the 12x12. I'm just going to leave it like this, so you could journal on this or you could add a photo. You can back this onto cardstock if you want to. There is one more 12x12 circular piece I didn't use that you could add to the back side, or you could add somewhere else. I'm going to tuck that into there. And then behind this, there is a belly band. So I've got one photo mat tucked behind here. It measures 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. This is left over from the 8x8 paper. So this is 3 inches by 5 inches, and it's going to go right here on the front side. Then for the back side, this is cut from the 12x12 papers, 3 by 5, and I'll place this here on the back. Then this one goes behind this booklet, and then in the pocket on the back of the page, we have another photo mat. It measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I've started with my 12x12 paper here. I've got 3 of those cards. They're going to go on the front side. Then on the back side, I have this piece of my 12x12 paper, and it measures 3 1/2 by 5 inches. So I'm going to place this at the top. Then I have this little strip that had these mountains on it. This is from the 12x12. I've just cut it down to 5 inches, and I'm going to place it here to fully cover that photo mat. And then this is going to go here in this back pocket. Then for the back of the page, there is a photo mat In the back, it's 4 inches by 6 inches. So these are both 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. This is from the 12 by 12, both of these pieces. So I'm going to place one on the front and one on the back side. Then place this here underneath that belly band. And then finally on the back cover, we do have a belly band just like on the front cover. One photo mat here, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So this is from the 12 by 12 paper. You could use either side, they're both pretty. So 4 inches by 6 inches for the front. And then this piece here was not quite large enough, so I just cut it to the size. So it's 6 inches, and I think it's just slightly too small. It's 3 3/4. So I have a strip of my striped paper, and it is about 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to place it here, and then I'm going to be adding in a little decorative element, probably like this, so that the photo can tuck behind it. Then once that's on the page, it will go, on the photo mat I mean, it will go here underneath that belly band. So we're going to go ahead and place all of those papers onto the photo mats. And then the last thing I'm going to do is come in and add a few little extra decorative elements, so stay tuned for that. Now I have all of my photo mats inside my album, and you can see that the album is definitely more bulky, so the closure actually lines up better than it did before those inserts were in there. There's still room though for the photos, so that is a perfect size. The last thing I'm doing is adding some of my Graphic 45 pearls to the front cover. So I've just added some of the smaller ones on the corners of my cards, and I've gone around and used the medium-sized ones around the outer edge just to give it a little bit of extra decoration. I'm not going to add anything else into the inside pages because I don't want this to add too much bulk where the album won't actually fit down into my box, and I'm going to be using some more of my gems on the outside of the box, so I wanted the album to match. So this is it for this part of the tutorial. The entire album is completely done at this point. Now, if you are not going to be making the decorative storage box, then you are completely finished. Thank you so much for joining in the tutorial series. I hope you've enjoyed the project. However, if you do want to go ahead and make the box, if you purchased it from my Etsy shop, the next tutorial will show you how to assemble the box and how to decorate it using the rest of the paper, the rice papers, and some of the extra elements. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.